be. Have you ever had a moment as an adult? Something small that just hits you way too hard? You react to a minor inconvenience, and you think, why did that upset me so much? Maybe it's that feeling in your chest, that tightness that comes with any kind of conflict. Or maybe you find yourself apologizing before anyone even asks you to. Perhaps it's that sense of unease that creeps in when you try to rest, even when you know you've earned it. Does praise ever feel awkward? Like it was meant for someone else entirely? Or does asking for help feel so much heavier than just struggling through it all by yourself? In those quiet, reflective moments, something important becomes clear. You're not reacting as the adult you are today. You're reacting as the child you once were. Most of us don't like to admit this, but childhood isn't something we just outgrow and leave behind. It's something we carry with us every single day. It shapes how we love, how we fear, how we rest, how we trust, and how we react to the world around us. Psychology tells us that by around age 7, the emotional blueprint of a person is already forming. It's not finished, of course, but it's been shaped enough to leave deep grooves. And these grooves are carved not just by the big, memorable things that happened, but also by the subtle things that didn't. The overall tone of the room you grew up in. The looks you received or the ones you didn't. The moments you desperately needed reassurance but were met with silence instead. Childhood is what teaches us what to expect from the world. If you grew up with encouragement and support, you probably walk into most rooms assuming that you belong there. But if you grew up with constant criticism or unpredictability, you might walk into those same rooms bracing for impact, preparing for the worst, often without even realizing you're doing it. This is why so much of adulthood can feel confusing. It's why rejection can feel so incredibly personal, like a judgment on your entire worth. It's why silence from someone you care about can feel so loud and threatening. It's why you overthink the simplest of choices, turning them into massive decisions. It's why love can feel so complicated, even when it's healthy and stable. It's why you might only feel relaxed when you know everything and everyone is under your control. These reactions aren't flaws. They're not signs that you're broken. Your brain holds on to what feels familiar, not necessarily what's helpful or healthy. If affection was inconsistent when you were young, love might always feel conditional, something you have to keep earning. If your home was rarely calm, a life filled with chaos might feel strangely normal to you now. If your sense of safety depended on your performance getting good grades, being well behaved then rests might feel completely undeserved. Your body learned these lessons long before your mind had the language to understand them. That's why two people can hear the exact same sentence and feel completely different things. It's not just about the words themselves. It's about the childhood behind the person hearing them. Think about it. Some children learn to become the peacemakers in their families because conflict felt dangerous and threatening. So, as adults, they avoid disagreements at all costs. Some children learn to perform to be funny, smart, or exceptional, because they realized that attention had to be earned. As adults, they might become workaholics, always chasing the next achievement. Some learn to be incredibly helpful because they discovered that being useful felt like safety, like a way to guarantee their place. Others learn to disappear, to make themselves small and quiet, because being seen felt risky and exposed them to criticism. These weren't just personality traits that we were born with. They were survival strategies. And in many ways, they worked. They got you through years of your life that you couldn't possibly understand at the time. The problem is that strategies designed for childhood survival can quietly limit you in your adult life. You might overwork yourself to the point of burnout because rest once felt unsafe. You might avoid asking for help even when you're drowning, because independence became your shield against disappointment. You might stay too long in jobs or relationships that do you and T fit because the familiarity of dissatisfaction feels safer than the pain of unpredictability. But none of this means you're broken, T. It means you adapted. Net adaptation. That resilience deserves respect. Your childhood doesn't just shape your pain. It also shapes your greatest strengths. That deep empathy you have. It often comes from having to be highly attuned to the emotions of others from a very early age. That sensitivity you carry. It often comes from learning to read the emotional weather in a room before you even had the words for it. That incredible resilience that gets you through tough times. It often comes from having to endure challenges without guidance or support. These powerful traits didn't just appear out of nowhere. They were built in the fires of your early experiences. But here is the turning point that most people miss. Awareness changes the role of the past. Once you recognize the pattern, once you can see the connection between your childhood and your present-day reactions, the past stops being the author of your life. Becomes a reference book, a guide. You begin to notice that tiny pause before you react. And in that pause, you can start asking a new question. Is this feeling about what's happening right now, or is it about what happened back then? You learn to separate the memory from the reality. Healing doesn't mean erasing your childhood. It means updating the old rules your inner child learned to survive. It's about teaching yourself, with patience and kindness, that rest doesn't require permission, that your needs are not burdens to others. Healing is often quiet. It's not a big, dramatic event. It's choosing a different, more conscious response in a familiar moment. It's speaking up for yourself when you'd normally stay silent, letting yourself rest without feeling the need to explain or justify it. And slowly, bit by bit, the child inside you begins to trust the adult you're becoming. Then you realize something incredibly important. Many of the core beliefs you've been lived by for years weren't objective truths. Not through force or by criticizing yourself for having them. They change through gentle curiosity. You can start to ask yourself, is this fear protecting me, or is it controlling me? Is this emotional reaction a response to the current situation, or is it an inherited echo from my past? Is this critical inner voice truly mine, or is it a recording of someone else's? That simple act of questioning creates space, and in that space is where the real healing begins. Because the goal was never to rewrite your past. Your childhood shaped you, deeply and profoundly. But it does not get the final word. You do. Thanks for watching.